Hello and welcome. So, this past week in India, three things happened that, on the surface, seem totally unrelated. We've got a new chief justice being sworn in, a volcano erupting thousands of miles away, and a huge weapons deal getting signed. What on earth could connect them? Well, as we're about to see, each one gives us a really fascinating window into a nation that is changing at lightning speed. It really does sound like the start of some kind of a joke, right? A new head of the Supreme Court, a volcano on a different continent, and a high-tech defense contract. At first glance, you'd think, absolutely nothing. But trust me, there's a thread that ties all of this together. Because when you start to connect the dots, you see they're all just different brushstrokes on the same canvas. They're painting this incredibly complex picture of a nation that is strengthening its foundations at home, projecting its power on the world stage, and dealing with massive global forces, all at the exact same time. So let's dive in and see how all these pieces fit. So where do we even begin with a story this big? Well, we start at home. We start with a really focused effort to strengthen the very heart of the nation. We're talking its leadership, its core institutions, and its own people. And that brings us to this really pivotal moment for India's entire legal system. Appointing a new chief justice is always a huge deal. This is the person who sets the legal and constitutional tone for the entire country for the next few years. But let's look a little closer at the ceremony itself. Justice Kant took his oath in Hindi. Now, in a country as linguistically diverse as India, that's not just a small detail. It's a really powerful cultural statement coming from the very top of the judiciary. And his term runs until early 2027, so he's got a pretty significant window to shape the court's direction. And this focus on strengthening the nation from the inside, it's not just happening in the courtroom. We're seeing a very similar push in social policy, especially for some of India's most historically marginalized communities. And you want to see the proof? Just look at this chart. The numbers here tell the whole story. The budget for the Ministry of Tribal Affairs has more than tripled in about a decade. We're not talking about a small tweak here. This is a massive infusion of cash for things like education, healthcare, and job creation in these communities. It's a statement. Okay, so once you start shoring up the foundation at home, the next logical step is to look outward. This next piece of the puzzle is all about how India is moving to secure its future, both in terms of national defense and its energy needs. First up, let's talk defense. You're going to see this acronym HAMMER. It stands for Highly Agile Modular Munition Extended Range. In simple terms, think of it as a really, really smart bomb. It's a sophisticated weapon you can launch from a jet to hit a target on the ground with incredible accuracy. But here's the really important part. This isn't just about India buying French technology. The deal is structured so that these advanced HAMMER systems will be manufactured in India. This is a huge deal for the country's self-reliant India initiative. The whole idea is to shift from being a major importer of weapons to actually building up a world-class defense industry at home. At the same time, there's this massive effort underway to completely rewire the country's power sector. The new Electricity Amendment Bill aims to basically tear down the old monopoly system you see on the left. The new vision is to create a competitive market, which should, in theory, give you and me more choice as consumers and hopefully lead to better, more efficient pricing. It's a huge, ambitious undertaking. But hey, powering a nation isn't just about weapons and electricity grids, right? It's also about investing in the two things that matter most for the future: your people and your planet. Just think about this number for a second, 23. That's how many young people were on India's first ever official team at the World Skills Asia competition. This is so much more than just a contest. It's about putting Indian talent in everything from IT to construction on a global stage. It's a direct investment in the skills of the next generation. And as India is showcasing its human skills, states like Haryana are tackling a huge environmental headache. What do you do with all the leftover agricultural waste? And how do you generate clean energy? Well, a new project is trying to solve both of those problems in one go. And the solution is actually pretty brilliant. This slide shows you how it works. Instead of farmers burning crop stubble, which creates all that terrible air pollution, this plant takes that waste and turns it into bioethanol. So in one clean process, you're creating green fuel, you're cutting down on pollution, and you're giving farmers a brand new way to make money. It's a perfect practical step towards that big goal of reaching net zero emissions by 2070. But of course, no country exists in a bubble. India, like every other nation, has to deal with these enormous global challenges that just don't care about borders, whether it's climate change or totally unpredictable natural disasters. Let's start with a number from a new UN report that is just mind-boggling: 80x. Over a 20-year period, that's how much more powerful methane is at trapping heat in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide. Let that sink in. It's basically a supervillain when it comes to climate change. And this is exactly why it's so important to our story today. That very same report identifies India as the world's third largest emitter of methane. Now, this isn't about pointing fingers. It's just a crucial piece of data that means India is and will be right at the center of the global conversation about how to tackle climate change. And finally, here's a wild reminder of just how connected our planet is. On November 23rd, a volcano in Ethiopia erupts for the first time in 12,000 years. Within 24 hours, that giant ash cloud is already crossing the Red Sea, and by the 25th, it's getting so close to India that the country's aviation authority has to issue warnings to all its airlines. A volcano erupts thousands of miles away, and just like that, it becomes an immediate problem at home, affecting travel and safety. So there you have it. In the span of a single week, you see new leadership solidifying the courts, new defense deals for self-reliance, new policies for energy and the environment, and new global challenges literally drifting in on the wind. It's a nation building from within while navigating a really complex world. Which leads to the big question. With all these powerful forces at play, which one of these shifts do you think is going to be the one that truly defines India's next decade?